It's Widow Wednesday, so y'all know what that means. It is time for another episode of Street Widows Podcast. Mesha, who is a Street Widows Podcast veteran, alumni, drinks champs will say, you all seen her in the first conversation, and I want to introduce her as Little Lisa from Burwell. And today, I'm going to start with an Essence article. When I tell y'all I read it and I was in tears and I sent it to my homegirl and she was like, this is prolific. This woman's words was like insane. So her name is Kirsten West Sabali. I hope I'm saying it right. Maybe I'm not. The title is For Black Women, Grief is Rarely Uncomplicated. And so I'm just going to go through and read like some of the points that really hit home. According to legend, surviving the trauma of losing loved ones is carved into Black women's blood memory. The women who are told that our very livelihoods are contingent upon how much pain we are able to withstand, how masterfully we are able to mask our grief. But I am not alone, not completely. We never are. I know you're sad, but you're too strong to let it kill you. She goes on to say how another woman experiencing grief had reached out to her. And she said, I'm often praised for my strength, and I know folks are well-meaning in bestowing that title upon me. However, if there were ever a time that I should not be strong, it would be after living through the worst tragedy in my life. She went on to say, making peace with newfound limitations saved my life. I gave myself permission to feel whatever I needed to without significant investment in other people's comfort. I truly had to face and accept that no matter what I did, my life would never be the same again. The avatars that we present to the world are born of the terrifying truth that Black women are not allowed the vulnerability and messiness of grief. The capitalist structure of this nation renders it impossible for us to just be still, to process, to reflect, to heal. Not when there's work to do, children to feed, and bills to pay. And I mean, I could go on and on, really. I mean, it's like this woman's words were powerful, but just being here today to talk about being a boss after loss and what that means and what that looks like and how you get to that space in an honest and open conversation about it. What she's not when there's work to do, children to feed, and bills to pay. You don't get to grieve. You don't get to take a time. What is a time out? Right. You don't get to just sit and process what just happened and what you're going through and grieve.
You jump directly into a hustler's mindset.
Head first.
Yeah. What's 100 ways to get
sink or swim?
Right.
Sink or swim. So, what do y'all think about the article?
I love it. I feel like I can go and relate in a lot of ways. Just mentally not being capable and knowing that you're changing, and accepting that you're not the same person, or you have to put on this persona or whatever mask that you want to really deal with or need to deal with. I feel like has affected my business, but it's always as long as you have the motivation and have a hustle mentality, like I never give up. I don't care what way I gotta go, I'm gonna make it work. So I feel like as long as you have that mentality, you gotta be willing to change, so I'm ready for this new journey because for once I'm able to face me, so I feel like that it's gonna a better me, of course, is gonna be a better business, so I'll be more accountability is big for me, so I'm ready.
That's all right. What about you, Mesha?
Being a boss after loss means strength to me, because there is so many times when you want to give up, so many times when you want to quit what you're doing, so many times when you want to just throw in the towel and say, I'm done with all of this, and still get up and do what's needed. That represents strength, unity, Blackness, anything that is associated with being strong.
it takes me there to another level. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah, I think like the like her words were kind of artistic. You know, like she painted a picture when she said like it's carved into our blood, like our memory. We've been experiencing loss since ever. I mean, my first loss was like 8 or 9 years old, and then when it came to my friends, like since 14 years old, I've been losing friends in the streets. Like, you know, we was just talking about it earlier. Like Louisville's murder rate is 5.5 times higher than Chicago when you break down the numbers per capita. Like, yeah, they got 900,000 residents and we only have 100,000. But when you dice the numbers up, we coming out of trenches that's worse than, you know, what people think is the worst in the world. And that's the story that I really want to tell with the podcast. So I thank y'all for being here again today. We are going to introduce the elevated goodies. As you can see, we've already been sipping. Everybody's like leaning just a little bit. Listen, on IG, Trisha Smitty, 502-806-4146. Y'all hit her up. Y'all gonna see these in the podcast maybe every time. We might not even have space for another sponsor as good as these are right here, okay? So y'all know what it is. It's time for Widow Talk. I think, does anybody feel led to draw the first card?
I will.
Okay.
Since this is my first time, let me dive on in. So,
and then let's flip them over.
Okay.
So Mesha, because now Mesha was cheating last time when we had the conversation. She was looking at the card.
So it says, what do you find to be most difficult about being an entrepreneur? I feel like the pressure of always knowing that you have a responsibility. So it's on you to make what you want your life to be. So you don't know if it's going to be a hit or a miss, so it's always a gamble. So I like it because it's always different. It's always room to grow. You learn new stuff. And it tests your capability as an individual. So I would say that, yeah.
Let me see the question. Because Trisha.
Oh, you Trish Jr.
Yes.
today.
What do you find to be the most difficult about being an entrepreneur? I want to say accountability. And accountability because there are so many people, well, business owners and entrepreneurs rather, who say, oh, well, I know I did a good job. This was on her. When sometimes we do need to take a step back and realize that it is us that need to fix a few things within our own business.
I agree. I think most difficult for me is balance. It's like balancing multiple businesses that's like in different realms with everything else that just, you know what I'm saying, like comes with life. I feel like with 9 to 5 hustle, you go to work and everything else is somebody else's problem. You know what I mean? I go to work, I do my job, and I leave. But as an entrepreneur, everything is your problem. So I just feel like, you know, that's the juggling of it and still being good at it and giving good customer service and, you know, being what your clients need you to be, but also handling the business and doing all of that by yourself as an entrepreneur. That's what I would say. I'll draw the next card. What are your tips for building a great team? I just always felt like if I do right by people, they have no reason not to do right by me. And you know, some people are the exception to the rule, right? But I feel like if you pay people what they worth, if you show love to people, if you give people opportunities to get money, and it's not, you know what I mean, like no sneak dissing, no competition, we all in it together, I feel like you get that back. And it's always worked for me. Like I treat people well, like, you know, I share game. It's not, you know, like it's a team effort, it's a real team, and I feel like I've always gotten it back in return.
And I feel the same way. Like, so I guess people are more comfortable coming to me because you know, I don't make people feel like they're more or less than me because we all human and we all can be teachable. So a lot of women are not to come to me with proposals and business ideas. So I feel like network is your network for real. So as much as you network and partnership with different peoples and companies and mingles and things like that, you know, you eventually get your blessings. And especially like you said, you pouring into others and you're not trying to look for a motto about it. So you're doing it genuinely as far as promoting other companies and businesses. And I feel like it's been my biggest support is the people who I support. So
just being genuine.
Yeah, just being genuine.
What about you?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think so. Not I think so, I know so. And I drew the last card. I'm elevated. Who's next? Mesha next.
Sitting back so cute.
What would you say to someone who has just lost their loved one and has no income? Of course, I could be the regular, I'm not even going to say fake, but I'm going to say imagey or whatever person and say, oh, keep God first. We know to keep God first. But I would say to write down all of your goals. Because some people, you might think you want to do this and you want to do this, and so you all over the place and you can't focus on one thing. When you have a goal and you focus on that goal, I feel like that helps you a whole lot. So first things first, write down your goals. And if you're speaking of the first thing second, then I would say to get you a side hustle. A side hustle is most definitely needed because there's gonna be days when you don't want to go have a boss over your head and somebody getting on your nerves and over your back and stuff like that. So you want to do your own thing. Sometimes you don't even want to go into work at all, and you can basically make your own schedule. So get a side hustle.
I feel like it depends, what kind of state of mind you in. So if you're a person that has that mentality to, just go out and get it, then you're going to make something make sense. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what you got to do or how you feel like you got to get it. But then you have those people that literally lay into what they're going through. So they're willing to risk that no income. And I don't know. I have no advice other than wanting it for yourself because I feel like I have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you've dealt with situations and you like that, you have to accept that people don't want the same thing out of what you want. And so sometimes the financial things don't really make or break people. But for me, it's a big deal. So it really depends on who that person is to even, because I feel like it's like you said, if you have goals written out, it kind of starts you where you need to go. But if you got all of these ideas in your mind and you need it to make sense, where you know where to start? Exactly. So you got to start where you need to. First, I need to be down at the unemployment or whatever caused me to be zero income. Whether it's McDonald's or whatever, I need to get there. Yeah. And then hustle from there.
So everybody don't have the same drive is basically what you saying.
Yeah.
Or the same standards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because some people are okay with, they don't really think that money is a situation. Like, they okay with living how they want to. So
for me, there's I like certain type of things, but my husband like even more certain type of things, and so I don't feel pressure, but I feel like I'm gonna honor him by giving our kids the lifestyle that I know he would want them to have. Do y'all ever feel like that?
I can say, I guess, always knowing what he would do for my son, or knowing what type of father that he would be, or how I'm not more of the want to sit in the room and play with you. I'm ready to watch a movie. I guess I could say I'm lazy. So, but he would actually be walking them around the room, throwing them up, and just that hyper energy. And I sometimes have to tap in when I don't want to tap in. So, I feel like it's always something that I'm trying to, is in a representation of him. So,
it makes sense. Mesha, you straight over?
I'm good. I already talked about that one.
Okay. It's over turn.
Yeah.
In what ways did grief hinder you? In what ways did it help you? Again, I feel like that grief has made me versus me. So it's bringing out all the strengths that I know I had, but I hadn't had to pull them out. So that's what I would say.
Hinder, I feel like it kind of slowed me down. Like I was in a space where I was like starting to hit a peak, and then I just got knocked to rock bottom. Help, it taught me that I can do it by myself. Like, you know, I knew I was good by myself before I met my husband, but I didn't have kids. It was just me. After, like, you know, having that dynamic, it taught me, like, yeah, from ground up, from nothing, you can build. And so, like, that's a different type of confidence to walk through life with. Let me just take the time to promote Elevated Goodies, because listen, y'all, everybody that y'all looking at right now has had a nice glass of Elevated Goodies.
Grief hindered me when it came to reaching my goals. I had all of these goals, and then the traumatic things happened in our life that transformed my mind, my thinking, how I loved people. And so I'll say that it helped me see people for who they really were.
Mm-hmm.
It's a thing.
It's a lesson to learn.
It's a heck of a lesson to learn, especially when you're a genuine person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you
feel like
keep
now,
on forgiving and
you,
overlooking it like that's my such and such, that's my such and such.
Yeah.
But then you really get to thinking like, they show me they don't with me.
Yeah.
They showing me they don't jig with me. They don't care for me. They don't support me. You will see yourself selling strawberries.
Yeah.
Or you being a rapper and let a celebrity or let somebody else that everybody in the city's cool with, then you want to share it and you want to like it and you want to be on that bandwagon. No.
Okay. Do you feel like you now have like an ability to see people initially for who they are versus giving them chance after chance? Do you feel like you learned that?
I learned that.
Because that's what I feel like. It's like now I see the bullshit.
Yeah, like
I
spot it right away.
Yeah. Because I feel like I've dealt with I would say the most hardest things that I ever dealt with so far. So I feel like if I can tackle it and just be able to not even say all the way healed, but to be able to carry on, that I'm not dealing with it. And I feel like that if you wasn't there and I know I'm always there, then ain't no coming back. So definitely I feel like it really made me really cut people off at the time. Then keep giving them chances and shit, for real. Because I would be like, oh, well, maybe she was going through something. Like, no. Like,
yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It ain't what it
I just
ain't.
rather not have it in my space right now. So I feel like it's kind of setting boundaries on what you're willing to deal with and what you're not.
Oh, boundaries, that's a word.
It is.
Yes.
It's a heck of a word.
Yeah.
And it took me to have to learn those boundaries with people where I'm like, okay, I'm in their space. Like, be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I always needed somebody close right there with me to make me not deal with the fact that what I was really dealing with. Yeah.
Same. I got to a point, I told my homegirl, like, listen, I cannot just sit on the phone and talk to people on the phone all day because I have to, like, sit in that loneliness. I have to experience that. Yeah. Like, I can't, and I feel like, well, I'm already away from everybody, so I am, like, you know, but I had to really think about that and sit and, like, what are you filling your time with? Yeah. And what, if you're never having quiet time, what are you really ever thinking about? And then once I got to that place, I started to enjoy my solitude. Like, I love when my kids are asleep and it's just quiet, ain't no TV on or nothing, and my house smells good and it's clean and my floors is vacuumed, and I can just be and breathe. Even if not to think, but just to breathe, like that time. So same.
Yeah. Finding that balance.
What was most difficult about returning to work? Well, I was in the pandemic, so listen, I had a different experience. I thank God for the pandemic, for real, because if it weren't for the pandemic, I would have had, what they give you, 3 days of bereavement, 4 days of bereavement. You know, I would have took whatever PTO I had, and then I would have had to jump back on the train. So the month before I lost my husband, I quit my job. We made a decision. He's like, okay, babe, I'm straight now. I want you to do whatever it is that you want to do. And so I quit my job. I told them that I would come on contract. So I had like a little, here and there type of work type of situation. Then the pandemic hit. So I just quit my job. You know what I mean? Like, what? I'm tripping. I can't get unemployment because I quit. In Georgia, you can only get unemployment if you get fired. But I got blessed and I got the pandemic unemployment. So I grieved and I had my, like $750 coming in. So it was like, you know what I'm saying? This is not what I'm used to, but at least I have time to just sit in my room and cry. If you know what I mean. So I I got into real estate in Kentucky at that point in time. But the most difficult thing about it now is just being the only parent for the kids, because it's balance of work and kids now. And for me, it was always work, because he got the kids. So that's the hardest part. It's like being a mom and having to go back to work. I think grieving affects me just at certain times, like if it's his birthday or something like that. Like I'm not trying to deal with y'all. Maybe I should have took off work, but it's my kids for me. What about y'all?
I feel like the same way. Okay, yes. So, like you said, as far as the pandemic, that would really help me a lot, because of course he died in 2020, so everybody was at home. And then even when people were made to still go to work, they were still giving people COVID relief if you had kids. So my child's daycare, they was not allowing all the kids that they had, because they only could accept so many kids. So of course, for me to be able to stay at home more and really deal with it, where I'm not forced to be in this space, because my first week back, I was like crying every day. Like I couldn't even believe I had to go, because we had planned it all out for me to quit. And he got on where I work so he could get the benefits. So I was like, I gotta go back to this factory. I had it all planned out, but God is good. So it was definitely hard to return to work. It was.
What about you, Mesha?
I would like to say like the fake love. That was hard returning. Like realistically, returning, because the city's Mayberry. Everybody know everybody. And then you go back to work and people got all this love for you, all in your face. People that typically don't even probably speak to you. People that didn't know who you were. People that didn't like you anyway. And you got all these people in your face asking you questions, acting like they love you, and it's not real. So you run all this fake love. Then you go home and you realize that shit was fake. I'm hurt by myself. I can't call up nobody who said, hey, call me if you need me.
What's been your biggest failure as an entrepreneur, and how did you overcome it? I feel like we were saying, balance, as far as knowing that I am a full-time parent, meaning that it's up to me, just you, Lisa, to get it done. So at first I was having a difficult time as far as being spoiled and just used to, having people, my boyfriend there, to be like, okay, I'll take care of it, or you ain't gotta get the kids every day, or we'll do like twice a week or so. But now that I know I have to be there Monday through Friday, you have to drop him off, pick him up, so you need to change your schedule. So of course that affected my business, because I can't be in there traffic hours like I'm used to. So my money changed, and I'm used to a certain lifestyle of being just like, being able to do what I want to do. Now I do what I need to do, and I have to think smarter, and responsible. So. So just accountability.
Accountability. We just said that word a few times.
Yes.
My biggest failure. Dang, why didn't I think about that when you first read it? I think. But it took me 3 times to pass that Georgia real estate exam. Listen, I failed the first time, I failed the second time, and I said I got to do something different, because if I fail the third time, I ain't no quitter, but god damn, what am I gonna do? And so what I was doing wasn't working, so I switched, flipped the script. I was trying to learn online, and that wasn't really the right method for me. So I had finished my course online, and then I went and did like a cram course in person to have somebody actually teach it to me, and then I passed. And I tell people that a lot of times they ask me about real estate, like, study and take a cram course, especially if you do it online, because teaching yourself is different than somebody else teaching you. That's what I said my biggest failure is. I probably got another one, but I had to sit with that one. What about you, Misha?
I think at first my biggest failure was being afraid to let people down. So even though a lot of people will feel like you should have known that it was okay to let them down because you were going through your own stuff. I don't think like that because I'm not bitter, I'm not unhappy, I'm not miserable. So I wouldn't care to still make sure other people are straight. But sometimes that could put me in the negatives, or in a bad place, in a bad space even. When people are going through whatever they're going through, sometimes you gotta step back and allow God to do what God's gonna do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And taking away, like, me and my friends talk about it a lot of times, like, your family comes first. And a lot of times they be like, well, I've been taking care of my mama, I've been taking care of my brother, my sister. Family, and then you get kids, the family that you make that comes from you, like, has to be first. And why am I going to take away from my kids to give to somebody? But if I need it, can I call you and ask you for $500? If my philosophy is, if I can't ask you for the amount of money you asking me for, don't ask me for it. But if I can call you and be like, hey, I need a stack. Oh, I got you, sis. Okay. Right. Then ask me for a stack. Right. But if I can only ask you for $10, don't ask me for $1,000 because you can't pay it back.
Mm-hmm. Or you're not gonna plan to pay it back even if you can.
So I'm already knowing I'm putting myself in a situation.
Right. Yeah.
For real.
Just accepting the loss. Yeah. Like, I know if I let this person borrow money, it's over.
That's why along the way, you learn who to pick up the phone for and who to be like, ask such and such. You gonna ask me.
Boundaries.
Second time.
Yes.
Yeah. Me?
Yes.
Okay. So far away. When did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Ooh, child, my husband pushed me into it. I'll be honest. I just knew that I had a plan for my life, and I just thought that's what it was gonna be. And I thought that, like, being an executive and having a title and, like, handling business was boss. He ingrained in my mind, like, nah, that's not boss. You really working for somebody else. Let me show you what a real boss is. This is what a boss is. And he told me, by the time you're 30, you're going to have multiple businesses. And when he didn't live to see my 30th birthday, but by that time I did. So I really got to credit him for that. I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I seen him. And I'm like, damn, you just wake up, do what you want to do, make your money. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to go in nowhere. You ain't got to answer to nobody. And I wasn't trying to get in the streets, but I wanted that independence and that freedom. Because time is all we got. You know what I mean? Nothing's more valuable than your time. You using your time working for somebody else. What are you doing? That's how I feel. Everybody's passion is different. So I don't knock I don't knock people who don't want to be an entrepreneur. But for me, at this point, it's the only way, unless I got to do what I got to do. Because sometimes it comes down to it, you got to work.
And so, like, I think that I always had it in me, but of course, I felt like the situation changed me to want to be an entrepreneur. And it was because when my boyfriend went to jail, I was accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So I've always wanted this lifestyle. I was able to obtain this lifestyle, so I want to get this lifestyle. So, of course, I want to maintain it, so I was like, okay, I'm going to just take an extra little lash class, so I'm going to own a house. But I always, even with working, still wanted to do the most still. So I always had set goals to want the next up. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I got to do something. Like, I work it for it. It's a good job. So, most people survive off of just that income, but it wasn't enough for me. And I was left with all of these bills. You should go get new furniture. I'm paying this monthly bill. Just building up all of these extra bills that I couldn't really afford. So I think it kind of put me in a situation to really step my game up. And then once you're exposed to what you can do and what you're capable of doing, you have that same hunger. So
you become fearless.
Yeah,
I think that's the beauty in entrepreneurship is once you get to the listen, I done quit my job, or I done just taken the step that I didn't think was possible. Oh, you can't tell me nothing now. I know if I put my mind to it, I know I can do it. Yeah. What you think, Misha?
I think I've been knowing I wanted to be an entrepreneur my entire life because I knew I always wanted to be a professional cheerleader or dancer. I knew I wanted to own a mansion. I just knew all of these things that I already wanted. So My mama used to tell me, that's what you want to be. You want to be an entrepreneur. But I'm thinking, no, I want to be a hairstylist today, and tomorrow I want to play baseball, and the next day I want to tap dance. So I think that's what it's been for me.
Lisa.
What would your loved ones say if they were here to see your business today? Well, I think honestly, I think he would be like, I'm proud of you, because probably a strength he didn't know. He always told me I was spoiled, but of course you're not willing to accept it because you don't know what spoiled look like until it's taken from you. So I think he would think like, I'm proud of you because you really still held it down. So more of anything, more of the mistakes that I made and whatever, because I had to learn. So if anything, I'm grateful. So I think he would say that.
I think Kentrell would have said that he was amazed. I think he would be amazed because not only within myself, but my attitude, the way I carry things, the way I think about stuff, my mindset, just everything overall, I'm always feeling like, oh, well, there's an alternative to this. There's an alternative to that. I could do that instead. And just using my thinking cap. So I feel like he would be amazed because he used to always say, no, you always going to be the same.
No.
I know for sure Taiwan would be like, I told you. I already told you. I knew it. Like, he seen it for me before I even seen it for myself. Before I even had the ideas that was the businesses, he knew. Like, I think for him it was like, once I turn her on, she's gonna take it and she gonna run with it. Yeah, like, teach me the game, Ghost. Yeah. You know. So yeah, I think he would be proud. I want to thank y'all for joining me today. Before we end, though, we talking about being a boss after law. So let's plug our businesses. Absolutely. Say what you do, what you got going on, what you need people to tap into. Mesha, we'll start with you.
I'm Kelly Bundy. I am the CEO of the Kelly Bundy Way. I work for 97 The Beat FM. I'm also a bar instructor through the Kelly Bundy Way. I'm a brand ambassador, a host. And just sometimes I get on a little podcast of Kelly Wanna Know and I do my thing. But y'all come holler at me at the Kelly Bundy Way LLC on Instagram.
Okay, and my name is Delicia. I'm an esthetician, so I own a beauty bar, or co-own. I also have a training facility where I train people to be their own boss. So if you're looking for a side hustle while you're ready to boss up and lose that 9 to 5, we do have lash classes available. So you can reach us at www.lavishtrainingacademy-com. Thank you.
I'm Ashlee, the 29-year-old widow, aka Miss 29 million, but actually I'm at like 60 million these days. But I'm just sticking with 29 million until the new year comes. You already know, if you are looking for a home, if you need a new place to live, lease, purchase, a 650 credit score, $40,000 annual income will get you into your dream home today. I also am the owner of Ace Tax Prep LLC, personal and small business taxes. Y'all see one of my brand ambassadors, Mesha, her kids, they get it in for me on the promo. And then, of course, I'm also co-creator with my late husband of Academy Alea, my nonprofit organization teaching kids how to become better adults, one youth at a time, by teaching life skills, everything from changing a flat tire to mental health to hygiene. So I am at 2 EES _ on Instagram. Y'all see the tag below. Y'all reach out to everybody for y'all needs. Let's make sure that we support Black-owned business, and especially Louisville-based Black-owned businesses. You have 4 here. I live in Atlanta, but my business all of my businesses serve Louisville. That's my passion. And y'all already know the last plug for the Elevated Goodies, which is also a Louisville-based Black-owned business. Thank y'all so much for watching the podcast, and y'all catch us in 2 more weeks.